Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's webinar. It's called How to Choose a Market for Your First or Next Real Estate Deal in 2024. And I am super excited about this. This is the first time I've ever delivered this webinar, but it is one of my favorite topics to talk about. If you follow me at all on any other platforms, you know that picking real estate markets, analyzing real estate markets is kind of my thing, and I'm super excited to share with you how to do it because picking the right market is a super important part of your strategy, and it doesn't have to be super hard, as you're going to see today. I am very excited to be here, as you can probably hear, and I appreciate you all choosing to spend your time here with me. And I want to start today's webinar and session with a couple of questions here. The first question is, have you ever heard of a market described as terrible? There's probably some market that flashes to your mind when you hear that, or it's low performing or uninvestable. Or maybe the opposite is true. Have you ever heard of something like a perfect market, this magical place where you can just find amazing deals and there's incredible tenants and there's never any problems? Well, I have a spoiler for you before we get into the nitty-gritty today. There is no such thing as either of those. There are no uninvestable markets. There are no perfect markets. There are no good markets or bad markets. All there is are markets that are right for you. And we're going to talk about this a lot today because this is a super important thing I want you all to remember, is that there's no right or wrong. It's about finding the market that is aligned with your financial goals, with your strategy, with your risk tolerance, and all that. And we're going to talk about that a lot today. In our agenda, we're first going to talk about why markets matter and why you should spend some time thinking about which market you're going to invest in before you actually pull the trigger on anything. Next, we're going to talk about the 4 steps to choosing a market that suits your personal strategy. And third, I'm actually going to do a live demo of a new BiggerPockets tool called the Market Finder. I actually got to work on this project a lot, and I'm super excited to show it to you all today. In addition to the agenda that I just showed you, I do have one more special invitation for you. If you stay to the end of today's webinar, I have a special offer for you. It is pretty generous, so you're going to want to stick around for it. And it's going to really accelerate your investing career and help you choose a market, so make sure to stay around to the end. Now, if you're here at this webinar, you probably already know that real estate investing can improve your life in a lot of ways. For example, it creates cash flow that can eventually replace your full-time job. It also gives you the best tax advantages of any investment class out there. And it helps you create income that can be a bit more passive than your full-time job, that it just starts rolling in every month, regardless of how much time you put into it. And you also get to build equity over time, build up your net worth, and create that generational wealth. And I know that each of these individual benefits and ways of earning returns are beneficial. But for me, and really for most other investors, it's not about any one of those things. It's actually about something bigger and more important, like financial independence. It basically means that you get to spend your time doing what you want, with who you want, and when you want to do it. For me, there's nothing more motivating than financial independence. Or maybe you're motivated by generational wealth and setting up your entire family tree for the future. Maybe you want to feel more financially secure and build a fortress that can help you withstand any potential downturns or unfortunate events. But the truth is, regardless of what you're trying to accomplish here, you can achieve financial goals through real estate, and all it takes is going one property at a time. And as we embark on this session today, I want you all to just take a second here to think about how it would actually feel to be financially free. What would the future look like for you if you were able to accomplish what you're imagining right now? Because it may seem really far in the future, but I want you to hold on to this idea because, one, it's going to motivate you throughout your entire investing journey. And two, the reality is that the path to this future that may feel far away is really just about getting to your first deal or your next deal. It's like all those athletes after games where they say, I just took it one game at a time, one play at a time. The same thing is true in real estate. Just take it one deal at a time. Now, of course, there are many benefits to real estate investing, but I understand if you have some reservations about making such a big financial commitment. I know this because I've also had many reservations throughout my investing career. Some of the common ones I hear are being afraid of losing everything, right? You're putting a lot of money into a deal and there is risk in real estate investing. But the reality is that once you learn to use the right tools, you're going to gain a whole new sense of confidence and realize that that risk of losing everything, it's actually pretty small. Another fear or reservation I hear about is that all good deals are gone and you can't find them anymore. Well, I personally can tell you that's not true. I've done several deals here in 2024. I know tons of other investors that are doing it because once you learn to find the right market and can really focus in on what's going to help you and your financial goals, it gets a whole lot easier. Or maybe you're just not sure what to do next. But once you get the right education and start hanging out with the right people, you're going to build momentum you need to get growing and building your portfolio. Now, I know about many of these reservations because I had the same exact ones when I was getting started investing in real estate. When I was new, I was concerned about losing it. I absolutely did not know what to do next. But thankfully, I figured it out, found the right tools. These are basically tools that other investors invented, and I just figured out how to use for myself. I also got the right education and figured out how to keep learning and building my portfolio in a smart and proven way. And third, I recognized that real estate is a relationship business, and I surrounded myself with the right people. Speaking of people, I should probably tell you the person you're listening to. My name is Dave Meyer. If you guys don't know me, I'm a real estate investor. I have been one for more than 14 years. I've also been working at BiggerPockets for 8.5 years now. I've written a couple of books on real estate called Real Estate by the Numbers and Start with Strategy. I host the On the Market podcast and the BiggerPockets Real Estate podcast as well. So I confidently can say that I know what I'm doing, but it was not so long ago that I was a newbie to real estate as well. And I was asking myself many of those same questions, which is why I love doing these webinars, because I'm just a few steps ahead of you guys. And I am excited to share with you the things that I personally did to get from feeling confused and not knowing exactly what to do to now doing a lot of deals every single year and feeling more and more confident about my portfolio and being financially free. And honestly, so much of my success as an investor came once I discovered BiggerPockets, because I started investing in 2010 and I didn't start working at BP until 2016. And in those 6 years, I didn't even know what BiggerPockets was. I was just making stuff up, fumbling around, and I still did okay, but I really was making stuff up. And then once I found BiggerPockets, like I said, I figured out that there are just tools, there's education, there are people who can help you with every step of the way. And that really catapulted my career. And lucky for all of you, you got to just do this from the start. You just start with BiggerPockets, all these tools. And I know that it's not just me and it works for other people because I see this every day. I have seen literally tens of thousands of other investors become successful in real estate because of the tools on BiggerPockets. You can take it from me. You can take it from Jason, who's a BP user who completely replaced his six-figure income with passive real estate in just 3.5 years. And this is not unique. Jason and I are just two of thousands of people. But what we've both realized, and other people on BiggerPockets have realized, is that although it can seem sort of far in the distance, it actually doesn't take that many properties to achieve financial freedom. What it really takes is being disciplined, finding the right markets, finding the right properties. And over time, if you're patient and you work at it, you're going to be able to supplement your income, grow wealth, and live life on your own terms. And I'm going to prove that to you today. And as you learn what I'm sharing with you today, I want you to remember that there is work in real estate investing. This is not entirely passive, as some people on social media will probably have you believe. It does take work, but it is not complicated. These are easy businesses to learn that tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have done. And by coming to this webinar today, you too are going to get on the same path to financial freedom. So let's get started. Let me guess, you may not know tons about real estate if you're just getting started or you're just still learning, but you've probably heard the old real estate saying that real estate is all about just three things: location, location, and location. And although that's sort of an oversimplification, it definitely is an oversimplification, there is some truth to that where you buy property really does matter. And I'll share with you the specific reasons that it matters. First and foremost is price point, right? Not all of us have the money to start investing in New York City or San Francisco or Los Angeles, where the median home price is like $800,000 or $900,000. And so where you can afford to buy obviously really matters. The second is performance. Certain markets appreciate faster than other ones. Certain markets have more rent growth and economic growth than other ones. Certain markets have higher insurance costs or tax prices. And so the market you choose is going to impact the numbers when you go and analyze your deals and ultimately operate your deals. And then third, there is a historical relationship and a historical trade-off between cash flow and appreciation. And we'll talk about this a lot today, but as an investor, you sort of need to prioritize which one's most important to you. Are you trying to take big swings, make a lot of money, maybe as a flipper or burr investor and getting that appreciation? Do you care about cash flow, or do you want something in the middle? But for all of these reasons, you need to think carefully about which market you're going to invest in. And once you do, everything's going to get a whole lot easier, I promise. So you're probably wondering, how do I pick a market? Well, I will tell you. There are actually 3 steps to choosing a market to invest in. The first one is you have to set your goals. And a lot of people skip over this, but it's super important because remember what I said at the beginning of the webinar here today is that there's no such thing as a good market or a bad market. And until you determine your own strategy and your own financial goals, and what resources you can bring to bear to grow your portfolio, it's going to be really hard to grow a market. You know, if someone walked up to me and say, hey, Dave, where should I invest? The first thing I would ask them is like, are you flipping a house? Are you house hacking? Are you doing a burr? How much money do you have? What are your financial goals? Because until I know those questions, I can't give you any advice. And the same is true when you're doing your own research, right? Like you have to decide those things for yourself. So I recommend that you spend some time thinking about what you're trying to accomplish before you go and look for a market. Once you've set those goals, you need to ask yourself and move on to step 2, which is, are you going to invest locally or long distance? Now, I consider local, quote unquote, investing anything that you would reasonably drive to regularly. So for some people, that might be 15 minutes. For other people, that might be 2 hours. But the distinction between local and long distance investing is really like, are you going to be the boots on the ground in that market operating your portfolio, or are you going to hire that out to someone else? Again, no wrong answer, but you need to decide. I'll give you just a quick pro and con list for each of these. So for local investing, some of the benefits are one, that the area is known to you. This is a big benefit, especially if you're looking for deals. You probably know what neighborhoods are desirable, where you would want to live, where renters are flocking, where new businesses are opening up. That is really valuable if you have that firsthand knowledge of your market when you're going to be an investor. Secondly, you may also have a network built in. So you might know a lender or a real estate agent or a contractor that can help you. Of course, it helps to be close by if anything comes up at your properties, and it enables owner-occupant strategies like a live and flip or house hacking. And then in terms of downside, there's basically only 2 downsides to local investing. The first is that where you live may not be favorable to your goals, right? So you might want to invest in short-term rentals, but they've banned them in your city. Or you live in a super expensive market where it's hard to find cash flow and you want to be a cash flow investor. So in those situations, investing locally might not work. The second downside is just price point. If you invest somewhere that you can't afford, that's going to be really difficult. When you look at long distance investing, the opposite is basically true. You can basically pick any market that you want that meets your needs. If you live in Seattle and it's super expensive and you want cash flow, maybe you choose somewhere in the Midwest because it can offer you cash flow. The second reason is diversification. For example, I started investing, I still do invest in Denver. That's a high price, more appreciation style market, but I also invest in the Midwest to get some cash flow. And that's how I build diversification in my portfolio. And it's inherently more passive. This does mean you have to pay a property manager, but at the end of the day, it means I spend less time on the deals that I have in the Midwest than the ones that I operate close by. And so that might be beneficial to you. The downside of long distance investing is you have to build that team, and sort of the subject of our webinar here today is that it can lead to sort of decision overload. Like there are so many different markets in the US. How are you supposed to pick one? Luckily, you're on this webinar, so we'll address that one. But just go ahead and think about what you want to do, be local or long distance. Step 3, once you've set your strategy and decided local or long distance, is to analyze market data. And don't worry, I'm sure there are people out there freezing up when you hear things like analyzing data. It's the last thing you want to do. I get it. Thankfully, I'm going to help you do it. This is what I do all day, every day, and I could really make this easy for you. Let's just talk about the things that you have to do in your market research. First, look at what's going on today. Second, look at how the market has performed in the past. You want to look at the growth rate, like how fast is rent growing up? How fast are property prices appreciation? You might even want to look at recession performance and, did this market do well in the last downturn? It's a good indicator of how it might perform in the next recession, which who knows when it's coming, but recessions are part of the economic cycle. And you want to look at volatility. Do prices go up steadily? Are there big swings? There's no right or wrong here, but you want to understand how any market you're considering performs in these different variables. How do you do this, right? It's like, where do you get this data? Well, I'm going to tell you. First, you can go to government websites like the Census, Department of Labor. They have tons of information. As you can imagine, government websites, not always the easiest to use. But if you're like me and you really want to dig into some of the nitty gritty, you can go do that. Or you can look at sites like Zillow or Redfin. They often have, market indexes and data that you can look at. Or you can talk to your real estate agent. Lots of agents will be able to share with you real estate data about the area. And if you're working with a good agent, an investor-friendly agent, they absolutely should know some of the data that I'm talking about here. By the way, if you need an investor-friendly agent, just go to BiggerPockets.com/agents. We got a free service to match you with someone who can definitely help you analyze a market. Even if you went to each one of these different things, it's not realistic that you're just going to analyze every market in the country, or maybe you just don't like doing deal analysis and sorting through the internet and doing sort of the sleuth thing to find this data. So the question is, how do you compare markets? Should you just focus in on one and not consider many of them? Or what if you could figure out a way to actually compare and contrast different markets against each other till you found one that is perfect for you and your strategy? Well, lucky for you, we have our brand new BiggerPockets Market Finder. This is something I am so excited to share with you all today. It's a project I've been working on for quite a long time, and I think you're really going to love how easy it makes it to compare markets and find the right one for you. So I'm actually going to jump out of my presentation quickly here and just show you the tool live. All right, so this is the Market Finder. If you want to follow along or do this, just go to BiggerPockets.com/markets, or just up here on the top nav, we have Find Markets. So there are a couple of different ways that you can look at this. So say you want to be an appreciation investor, you can look at this map right here and see where the highest appreciation over the last year has been. If you want to look at cash flow, we use a proxy called the rent to price ratio. And you can see, the darker the number here, the better the rent to price ratio. So as you can see, Midwest, Southeast tend to do the best there. Or if you want to filter by affordability, you can start to look at that. And I know I'm going through this quickly, but I just want you to know this is really difficult to find anywhere else. So as an investor, this is a super useful way for you to just start narrowing down where you might want to invest based on some of these criteria. If you're totally lost and you're thinking, how do I figure out where to invest? I don't know, there's too many. Well, I have actually personally selected 25 markets that I think are worthy of your consideration. You definitely need to do your own research. You shouldn't just take my word for it, but these are 25 markets that I think have strong fundamentals and may be good for you to do a deeper dive on. So as you can see, you can learn all the things I was just talking about right here on the BiggerPockets tool. So we have the median home price, so you can see if you can afford that. You get your rent to price ratio. Again, the higher, the better there for cash flow. Look at rent growth, population, median income. You can go into all of them, and you can see I've picked markets here sort of across the country. A lot of them are in the Southeast and the Midwest. Those tend to be good, but we have ones in the Northeast like New Haven, Connecticut, or in the, Southwest, Oklahoma City, South Dakota. So they're kind of all over the place. If you want to learn more about any of these markets, you can just click into them. So I'm just going to pick Tuscaloosa. I actually was talking about this on the podcast the other day. Tuscaloosa is an interesting market. So you can go into Tuscaloosa and see a lot of more information than is just on that first screen. So you can see rental income, home price, the rent to price ratio, how affordable is it? We also have like stats here that just show you why you may want to invest here. Like it's a growing area. It has really good rent price growth. We're sort of ranking different markets against each other. You also get a expert written summary of why this might be a good market for you, community score, growth stats, macroeconomics. So if you just want to save time, don't want to go to all those government websites for yourself, check out this market finder because it's really going to help you narrow down what market to invest in. So make sure to check this out. I genuinely believe there's not a better tool anywhere on the internet for you to start narrowing down where you want to invest. Again, just go to biggerpockets.com/markets. All right, so that was our third step. Just as a reminder for finding markets, we first talked about how you are going to set a strategy. Then you have to decide local or long distance. And then third, you have to do your analysis. So what I recommend to people is basically set your strategy, figure out local, long distance, then pick like 5 to 10 markets to do a deep dive on. And again, the 25 I selected could be a good starting point for you. If you choose local, pick 5 areas that you would drive to and do a deep dive into those 5 or 10 different markets and decide which maybe 2 or 3 you're going to start looking at deals in. Which brings me to actually a fourth bonus step that I really wanted to throw in here, because I hear a lot of people talking about how hard it is to find deals right now. And even once you find a market, that is a big, important step. So I'm actually going to show you another new tool that we have here on BiggerPockets, and it's called the Deal Finder. And this is honestly the easiest way I know, truly the easiest way I know to find deals in this market. So again, I'm going to pop out of my presentation again and go back to BiggerPockets. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to pop over to one of the 25 markets I selected and my list here. This is Goldsboro, North Carolina. I've never been here, but on paper, I think it has good cash flow potential. So let's just find one. I've truly never looked at deals in this market. We're going to do it all together. This BiggerPockets deal finding tool is super cool because it allows you to build your buy box. And if you've never heard that term, it's basically setting specific criteria that you want to look for when you're finding a deal. So you may know that you want to invest in a market like, let's say, Goldsboro, but then you need to specify the type of deal that you want because you can't look at every single property, even in a smaller city like Goldsboro. So what you're going to probably want to do is first, like any platform, Zillow, any of these other ones, we have some basic filters, but in a second, I'll show you that we have some investor specific filters that are really going to help you out. So I'm going to set my maximum price, I don't know, let's just say at $300,000. Property type, I personally like buying detached homes, not condos or co-ops, so I'm just going to do that. Beds, I like when I do single families, the bigger the better. So I'm actually going to see if there's 4 bedrooms. Yeah, so there are good 4 bedrooms here in my price point. And then I'm going to do more filters. So again, there's more of these normal filters that you can see. Days on market, year built. But here's where it gets really cool. So 1 year forecast. Well, a lot of markets are facing declines right now or projected decline. I don't want to do that. So I'm only going to look at deals that, let's say, are projected to grow 3% at least in the next year. That's higher than most people are guessing for the higher country. And so now we've actually narrowed it down a little bit more. Let's say that we want to stay out of the highest crime areas. That's narrowing it down a little bit more. And then we want to go to this, guys, this is the one you really want to pay attention to. Show advanced filter. So we can look for underpriced homes. So our tool will compare what it's being listed for versus what our machine learning, intelligence, AI thinks that value is worth. We'll also get rent estimates, market grades. Like we don't want an F market, right? Let's just say we want it in at least a D market. Then we want to do rental yield. This is a proxy for cash flow. So let's say that I want at least a 4% cash on cash return. Great. Okay, so look at this. Everyone says that there's no good deals right now, right? But I just went through, looked at a couple filters, and now I've found 6 properties in a very small city, so I wasn't expecting like a ton of them. 6 properties that are worthy of my consideration and analyzing the numbers on. And this is so cool. It's so valuable. Honestly, being able to filter properties for cash on cash return by risk of decline, that doesn't exist anywhere else. So absolutely go check out the BiggerPockets Deal Finder. It is the easiest way to find deals right now. One of the things I want to make sure you do, everyone, is one, save search here. This is basically going to alert you anytime a deal enters your buy box. And just think about that for a second. People are always hustling hard to find deals. But now, anytime that I have a deal that meets my criteria, it's just going to get emailed to me. That is an incredible value of the deal finder that you should absolutely be using. Now, once you filter down, you may want to look at one of these particular properties. I'm just going to pick this one here. 407 West Mulberry. It looks like a nice place, 4-bed, 2.5 bath. It's large, 2,700 square feet. We get all sorts of information about here, like why we estimate this actually to be worth $244. So similar price. It's smaller than most places in the area, but it has more baths. It has better square footage. So it tells you a little bit so you can learn to comp for yourself in that area. Okay, this is great. So this rent estimate shows that our rent is projected at $24.62 per month. Now, I don't know if you all have heard of the 1% rule. Well, that states that if you want a really good cash flowing property, you want your monthly rent to be 1% of your sale price. And we're almost exactly at that with this property. And guys, I truly just did this live. I just found a 1% rule on the BiggerPockets deal finder, which is incredible. People are always saying they can't find 1% rule deals, and you don't need 1% rule deals. Don't get me wrong. But if that's a priority for you, I just found one in like 5 minutes. So definitely check out the deal finder. It's going to help you identify properties to bid on. And actually, I wanted to show you one last thing here. When you're doing the market analysis, it's important to pick your market, but it's also important to pick your neighborhood. And you can do that here. Like, look at this forecast button. So now I can see which neighborhoods in Goldsboro, North Carolina are projected to grow the fastest and slowest, right? So this one that I was looking at, it's on the border, but it's in one of the faster growing areas. You want to see where the crime is in that neighborhood? We can zoom in and look at crime maps and see, okay, this is a relatively higher crime area. That's something I may want to consider. Guys, I don't know this market super well, but I'm showing you that this tool can help you learn these markets really, really well, which is why I'm so pumped up about the market finder and deal finder, because it's never been easier to find markets and deals despite what you hear on social media and other people saying. Okay, so now that we've done these two demos, I just want to take a step back because I know that even learning what you have, finding a good market in 2024 can feel intimidating. But now you can narrow your search down to a market that fits your goals, and using the deal finder tool, you can get hyper local about it, understand what the crime rates are, where the forecasts are higher, what rents are in each and every neighborhood, so you could really pick the best place to invest. So just to recap, remember that there are 3 trade-offs when you consider markets. First is price point, the second is performance, and the third is cash flow versus appreciation. What you want to do in your market finding journey is, 1, you have to set your investment goals. Then determine whether you're investing locally or long distance. Third, analyze that market data. And fourth, the bonus one is go and find deals in your target market. And hopefully you've learned a lot here today, because I know that when you're first getting started, real estate investing can often feel intimidating. It can feel like you're jumping off a cliff. But the reality is that it's not actually that dangerous or complicated or risky. There are always risks, but in reality, real estate investing is a more mellow kind of sport. It's not base jumping. It's more like going on a hike. And it's kind of like going on a hike with friends, because you have a community surrounding you at BiggerPockets. These are people who know the path. They know the trail that you need to take to get to your financial goals, and you get to walk it with them. And that's great. And I know this because this is what we're all about at BiggerPockets. We exist to build tools to help investors on their journey towards financial freedom. And this is not just theory. This is not something I'm just hoping is going to happen. This is actually something that tens, if not hundreds of thousands of other investors, including myself, have used to find financial freedom. So I have now 2 simple questions to ask you. The first is, are you committed to buying your first, second, or third deal in the next 12 months? And this is really important because I just gave you a lot of education and information that can help you. But at the end of the day, it is up to you. You have to ask yourself, are you committed to real estate investing? Are you going to do the work, the research that I've just shown you how to do, but you have to actually go out there and do it. And I highly recommend you start working on it now so you can build momentum. Real estate is not complicated, but it does take building up some momentum. So I recommend you start as soon as possible. And that brings me to my second question, which is, are you prepared to follow and execute a daily plan to reach your full potential? I know it can seem pie in the sky, but just set a goal right now. Say, I'm going to go look at 5 different markets by the end of the week. And once I pick 2 or 3 markets, I'm going to then go find 10 deals. And I'm going to look at 10 deals a day until I find one that meets my buy box, meets my criteria, and I know is going to help me on my financial journey. You can do that, right? That doesn't sound that complicated. In the next couple of weeks, you could realistically have a property that fits your buy box just using the tools that we've talked about today. But again, it's really up to you and whether you're going to put in that work. If you answered yes and are willing to put in that work, let's talk about how you can make 2024 a year of change. Because real estate investing works when you work it. And our goal at BiggerPockets is to help you get to those financial goals. That's why we create these incredible tools to help you get there faster and with less pain. And the primary way we do that and help you accelerate your financial goals and build that portfolio quickly is through something called BiggerPockets Pro. And BiggerPockets Pro is basically designed to help you start your portfolio, to scale it up to whatever size you're envisioning, and to actually manage the day-to-day of that portfolio as well. And if you're wondering how one subscription can do all of that, let me show you. First and foremost, you get the best analysis tools in the entire industry. That, yes, includes the market finder that I just showed you, the amazing deal finder that allows you to create those custom buy boxes, and it also includes other deals that I didn't even have time to show you today, like our rental property calculator and our rent estimator. All of that comes with BiggerPockets Pro. In addition to analysis and great tools, you also get elite level education. This means that you get exclusive access to live webinars and workshops with experts. I host a lot of those. You also can get 50% off our boot camps where you can learn directly from some of the best investors in the game, like Tyler Madden, Ashley Kerr, Avery Carr, and a lot others. Pro also helps you build your network. We've talked a bit about how real estate is a relationship business, and we've seen that our Pro members actually get 3 times more connections and build their network 3 times bigger than our free members by participating in the exclusive Pro-only forums on the BiggerPockets website. And Pro also includes what we call our landlord command center. Because it's fun to look at markets and to go out and buy deals, but a lot of real estate investing is actually managing the day-to-day, and that doesn't need to be hard. We're going to give you amazing property management software from RentReady. Usually that costs a few $100, but you get it for free as a pro. You're also going to get portfolio monitoring and accounting software from Stessa, and you'll get all of the legal documents you ever need as a landlord for any state in the country by being Pro. Just as a recap, Pro is really designed to give you everything you need, whether it's analysis, elite education, networking, or the software you need to run the ins and outs of your business. It's also maybe tax deductible. You have to talk to your CPA, but it might actually be for most people. Now, I believe in Pro. I use these tools every single day, but you might want to listen to some other people like Aaron C., who said there's no way he could analyze the volume of properties he does without being a Pro member. Or from Beth, who says it's the foundation of her real estate career. Or you could take it from Jackie O that says it provides so much value, or Martin, who said that it's worth it. There are tons of stories about how Pro has accelerated many investors' careers. Now, you're probably wondering how much this costs. Reasonable question. And if you actually added up all of the individual elements of the Pro membership, it would cost more than $5,000. And that honestly would be worth it if you just wound up buying a single deal because you'd make more than $5,000. But that is a big investment. I understand $5,000 is a lot of money, and that's not what we're about at BiggerPockets. Our whole goal is to make real estate investing accessible to ordinary people. So we make all of these amazing tools of Pro available for a very reasonable price of $468 a year. Now, I did tell you at the end of this webinar, I would give you a special offer, and here it is. For watching this webinar, first and foremost, I'm going to give you 20% off Pro Annual. So normally it's $468, but I'll give you a couple tips. If you actually sign up for a full year, we knock down the price to $390. But now it is time for that special offer I talked about earlier. Just for attending this webinar and learning the stuff I shared with you today, I'm going to knock 20% off BiggerPockets Pro, which gets you down to just $312. You can do this by using the code YMARKET24. That's like the letter Y, MARKET 24. So when you go to the website, it's biggerpockets.com/pro. When you go there, just make sure to put in that code YMarket24 because that's what's going to get you the discount down to $312 and the very cool, at least in my opinion, bonuses that we're giving out today. The first additional bonus, and this is just if you go pro today, is you're going to get the Show Me the Money starter pack. This is worth like almost $500 all on its own because it has an ebook about eliminating debt and repairing credit. It has a 9-hour workshop on no and low money down investing and some worksheets to help you build your pillars of wealth. That's just one of the bonuses we're giving to you. We're also going to give you something I worked personally very hard on, which is demystifying the housing market bundle. If I were selling this one-off, it would be more than $500 because this is so valuable in today's market. You're getting my 2024 State of Real Estate Investing report, plus videos on how to build scenario plans to make sure you're able to react to any changing market conditions, and a guide to how to invest in a changing economy and de-risking your investments even in 2024. That's a great bonus. But the one is honestly my favorite is the Ace Your Analysis Toolkit because I get to give you my book for free. I co-authored a book called Real Estate by the Numbers. It's one of the most popular BiggerPockets books. It's one of the most popular real estate books out there because it really teaches you the dollars and cents in honestly a very easy way so you can feel confident about your investing. So if you go pro today, you'll get the book, you'll get all of mine and Jay's Excel files, plus videos to teach you to use all of those Excel files, which are going to make you a master of deal analysis. So that's what we got for you guys today. Incredible bonuses and discounts just for joining this webinar. And if you go pro and you don't like it, we'll give you your money back. We are all about helping real people achieve real estate investing goals. And if you're not using it, we don't want you to pay for it. So try it for 30 days. And if you don't like it, just email support@biggerpockets.com and we're going to give you your money back 100%, no questions asked. So just as a recap, if you want to go pro today, you're going to get those 3 amazing bonuses. Plus, you're going to knock the price down to just $312, which is such a good deal. All you got to do to get that deal is go to biggerpockets.com/pro and enter the code YMarket24. That's the letter Y, MARKET 24. Go to biggerpockets.com/pro and get it all there. That's all I got for you all today. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you spending your time with me, and I hope that you've learned something about identifying the right markets, the steps that you need to take, how to do research, and you see that it doesn't actually have to be that hard to find a market and even find a deal in the market that you choose. If you have any questions for me about this, you can always find me on the BiggerPockets platform, or you can find me on Instagram where I'm at The Data Deli. I am happy to answer any questions that you have on either of those platforms. For BiggerPockets, again, I'm Dave Meyer. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you very soon somewhere in the BP community.